also get that. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is the match of the season. It's the one everyone's been looking forward to, and the stakes could not be higher. This is possibly the battle for first place. If BB is able to get a win here, they do lock first in the regular season, which allows them matchup selection for the first round of playoffs. And if NYNB gets here, all they need to do is win against One Thief as well to secure first. So not a guaranteed first for them, but it is a race between QC and these two teams, and it really gets narrowed down based on the result of this match. I am joined by Brewer. It's been way too long.
Yeah, it's been way too long. Always fun to cast with you, Dean, and even better, as you said, when it's such an exciting matchup. I mean, even the first place stakes aside, this was always going to be my most anticipated series of the season, just based on these two teams alone. And then you add in the fact that we're battling for the right to get first in the regular season, and it's just, this is just what you want to cast. I'm excited.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at the rosters, those who know Scrims history, New York Nutbusters was a team founded in season 5. They had a rough season 6, and they are coming back this season. Their season 5 roster, they won, I think, 9 series in a row, lost the last one of the season, made it to finals, lost finals. But that roster was Blake, Mike, Taxi, Alex, and PB, which is the lineup that we see from New York Nutbusters now, except for Taxi, who's now playing against them. And I think this is definitely a grudge match that has been waiting to happen. And I think Taxi could not be happier with the team he has assembled around him for this matchup.
I mean, it's a grudge match like 4 seasons in the making, essentially. I mean, it's just really kind of the return of Taxi this season. Hasn't really just had the availability or the rosters to be able to play much. And, I mean, he's come back and just been in such great form. I mean, one of the best performing mid laners so far this season. But going up against Alana, who, I mean, I think to a lot of people's surprise, has probably had their best season in the server as well, been playing really well in mid. So it's going to be a fun matchup for, Taxi to kind of go against his former team here.
Yeah, and it is interesting that we're seeing archives being run here. I think Will has been seeing a lot of playtime too. I'm not sure what the specific matchup tech is here. I think Will tends to force more bans than Archive does, but maybe that's not as much of a concern for BB. Maybe we'll even see Will get swapped in if they're on blue side or something, like a side select dependent chance. But kind of going down the line, Nishan, newer to top lane, does not have much of a top lane backlog to kind of look at here. So his best champion is only even, doesn't have any winning champions in the top lane. But looking over towards Blake, we're absolutely not going to be seeing the Alawi this series, I don't think. But Blake has tons in his pocket that he could pick in these matchups. Mike and Jar both have their key champion with about a 66% win rate here. Mike with the Viego, 12-6, insane KDA, and Jar's Udyr is something that we all know and really don't like. And going down, the Malzahar and Zoe, kind of signature picks. Lana does tend to play more of the Aurora, but has been performing a lot better on the Malzahar, so it'll be interesting to see if that champion gets denied or if it is able to go through. Alex's Caitlyn is a absolute beast, 17-8. Does not do it justice. It feels even better than that. And Archived, a bit new to the server as well, is 5-1 on the Xayah so far. And if you look at the supports, it's basically the same deal as jungle. You have these giga comfort picks for these players, and will they come out? Will they get banned? It's really hard to tell. I feel like PB and Eden have pretty deep champion pools, as do Mike and Mason, and I think it's going to be really hard to predict what's going to come out from them.
Yeah, definitely. I think my most anticipated matchup here is probably top lane, though. I think Nishan and Blake both have a pretty deep champion pools. I think both players throughout, their time in the server have shown an ability to really take an advantage in their lane, especially when they're given that counter pick. So I think, whoever's getting counter pick is going to have a pretty big potential leg up in this series. I'll be curious what each, player feels like is safe to blind. But honestly, I think you could realistically say this is also kind of a battle for, potentially, best performing top laner in the server this season. At least in my opinion so far, of the players who have played the most games, I think Nishan and Blake have been right up there at the top with a few others. And I mean, just seeing them go head to head is going to be really fun.
Yeah, and we will have to see what the key matchup is. And it is, as you predicted, Blake versus Nishan. Blake is actually up 2-0 in this matchup. And I believe you are, in fact, seeing Anivia versus Aphelios top as one of those. So I don't think we've seen a true test of how these players will stack up against each other in the top lane. But Blake's stats definitely looking better overall, has way more games logged, and is an absolute menace. But I think looking at the key players on the other team is definitely something to look at too. I believe it's going to be PB and Mason. Which of these do you want to look at first and discuss a little bit, Brewer?
We can start with PB. I mean, to me, I think PB's kind of like the rock of this New York Nutbusters team. I think they've all been performing really, really well, but I feel like PB is just so consistently good. Has such a deep champion pool in the support role that he's always able to play a champion that whatever their comp needs. Like when you have a player that's able to pick such a wide range, I feel like you very rarely end up with like a bad composition. He's shown things like the Braum, he's shown things like the Nami, the Rel, the Leona, the Nautilus. Like he can play the engaged as good as anyone in the server, but if his team needs like more of that enchanter, he has it. And he's paired up so well with Alex, gone back to playing with Alex this season after playing with him back when he first joined the server. And that bot lane just has such great synergy together. And when you consider Alex's champion pool of the Caitlyn and the Varus, pretty lane dominant 80 carries, they often find big advantages in lane. And to me, I expect them to be able to do that because as good as Eden and, Will have done, and we have archived in, but as good as, BB's bot lane has been able to do this season, their one weakness, in my opinion, is they have fallen behind in lane fairly regularly. And I think that's going to be a really tough challenge against Alex and PB, who are typically pretty lane dominant.
Yeah, and moving it over to Mason, what's your read for this series there?
I'm not 100% sure because Mason has a deep champion pool himself. I expect the Udyr to be banned. I'm curious if they'll ban the Echo. That's a champion that Mason has performed so extremely well on. But some teams have just decided to start permabanning it. Some teams have decided they feel like they can beat it. So if that's open, I would expect them to take it, and I would love to see that. If that's gone, I expect them to try to hold Mason's pick a little bit below Mike's to try to give him that counter because as you see, there's some contested picks here. They both like the Viego. I believe they can both play the Wukong. They can both play the Jarvan. But we've also seen Mason play more engaged tanky champs. He's played the Nautilus jungle. So depending on whatever his team needs, he'll fit that role.
Yeah, and I do think we're going to be starting drafts soon, so I do want to hear your predictions of what the first 3-round bans are going to be coming out from either of these teams. I think against NYNB, I think Smolder is a pretty good ban for top lane, and it definitely could be flexed to bot. Rel is up there. Viego is up there. You could maybe ban out the Aurora or the Malzahar. I think all of those are decently good options. Over on BB's side, though, as you mentioned, the Echo is a solid one. I think Udyr, maybe Set, Zoe. There's a lot of options.
Yeah, there really are. One thing I wouldn't hate to see BB choose to ban away from Nutbusters would be something like the Caitlyn or the Varus. We already mentioned how I think BB's kind of one weakness is that their bot lane can fall behind in lane sometimes. So maybe getting rid of like that super lane dominant champion from Alex could be helpful, especially if Archived is looking to, get that comfort pick of the Xayah. I do not think Xayah would want to play into either Varus or Caitlyn. So potentially, getting those out of there, allowing Archived to get a more favorable matchup could maybe be an angle, but we will see. If for first pick priority, I would expect things like, maybe the Smolder if that's left open, maybe the Viego if that's left open, but Viego's already banned.
Yeah, they're just not letting Mike have that. I think Udyr and Zoe make total sense coming out from NYNB side, and with the speed of their bans, they've clearly done a lot of prep. Jarvan coming out against Mike is interesting. I think there are definitely other champions you could be prioritizing, but clearly BB has done the research, and I do trust Mason's drafting. Aurora being taken away as well, and Rise actually being banned away from Taxi is something that he's been performing well on and could potentially counter on his champion pool. The Caitlyn is being hovered here. If it does get locked in, I think it's pretty much unpunishable for BB, but BB is just going to be taking the Hui to counter it. Almost definitely going mid. I'm not sure Archived is really a mage player, but Nami is being locked in.
With the Nami, though, Hui bot is such a strong pairing with Nami. I wouldn't hate to see it.
Okay.
And we're locking
Rengar Ivern,
right
baby.
Holy.
Holy.
I might be echoing a little bit based on some of the stream comments.
Okay. Yeah, I need to turn out my mic anyway.
But Rengar Ivern, I mean, that's so exciting. But we have the Hui Flex pick. I don't know if Archive can play it, but I do know Taxi is an extremely good Hui player. So I'd be happy to see it mid. If you want to put it bot, we saw Rift Sharks, our team, used Hui Nami bot lane to great success last season. And then we've locked in the Nihilist. That's going to be Mason's Nihilist jungle. As an answer into Rengar, I actually like that a lot. He can get really tanky. Rengar's going to have difficulty ever kind of trying to, go in for a engage in a team fight if the Nihilist is there to just kind of, peel his team.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting though. Alana normally has already picked their champion in the first rotation. I wonder if maybe this is the Ivern mid, but otherwise I would expect to see like a Malzahar or Vex ban, but you're not going to be able to hit both now that we've dedicated a ban towards Rel. I think Set and Ambessa are both pretty good bans here. It's interesting that the Set got hovered and not taken away, but
yeah, I would expect Blake to be playing the Ivern top unless they were going to do something really crazy like Ivern support. That's not going to be in Alana's bag, I don't believe. As you said, though, the Malzahar still left open. I don't think BB's too concerned if they pick the Malzahar. If you blind pick Malzahar, there are a lot of great answers. You can go any sort of scaling champion into Malzahar, and you're going to be pretty happy as long as you have range. So I don't think they're too concerned if Alana ends up playing that here.
Yeah, it's good to see the Set being banned away. I was worried that wouldn't happen.
Yeah, I think
seems
that
like
makes
the Aurelia
sense.
is probably being picked here as maybe a possible counter to Ivern, but honestly, I've been on the Caitlyn Ivern bot lane train for the longest amount of time. You have a route which Caitlyn likes, and you can help her passive out with the bush because you do get headshots faster from a bush. So that could be the tech there going to PB, and you do give Blake counter in that situation. But it looks like the NA Jace is going to be locked in. This is probably
another
a flex between
pick,
the two
though.
open roles. Yeah.
Yeah, we've seen Taxi. So right now they have Hui and Jace, which can both go to 2 roles here. So really difficult for NYNB to actually find like that counter pick. Because if you pick some mega Jace counter here, Taxi's going to be happy to play Jace, and then you end up with some counter pick for Nishan on 5. So I really like this drafting out of BB.
Yeah, now the Malzahar is just going to come through. I'd imagine BB had seen this one coming. So we'll see if they're happy with either of these matchups into it. I'm not sure about the Hui or Jace into Malzahar specifically, but we'll have to see what this last pick is to round out NYNB's draft. Could be a top laner or a support, and they might still be deciding which lane it's going to.
Yeah, definitely. I think honestly you'd be happy with Hui into Malzahar. You could also go for another counter pick if you prefer. And yeah, that's gonna be Ivern top, I suppose, with the Nihilist being Braum
potentially
being locked in.
Into the Smolder, but my guess is that it's Smolder into the Caitlyn lane, Jace top, Hui mid, but not entirely sure because you could put Smolder top, Jace mid, Hui bot.
Smolder can also go mid, is actually a pretty big counter to Malzahar just because, what is Malzahar's game plan? It's to permanently push you in. That's just all Smolder does there is sit and get stacks, and he also has the ability to stack off of the Malzahar creeps, so Smolder actually ends up stacking extremely fast when played against Malzahar. So I would not be surprised if we end up seeing I wouldn't be surprised if we end up seeing it go mid, and you just put the Hui bot for the strong pairing with Nami, but as you said, they really have any assortment of options here.
Yeah, I think all I'm sure about is that Hui's not going top and Jace isn't going ADC. But I think it would be cool to see something new coming out from Archived. I think Smolder's a little closer to what we've seen coming out from them. Hui would be a bit different, so could be interesting to see that. And hey, maybe Eden will play Nautilus and Mason will be playing Nami jungle.
Ultimately here, though, I think the most exciting thing we have to talk about is the fact that we've got Rengar Ivern locked in together. I've seen Blake actually play this before. I believe when I saw him do it, he was doing it in mid lane. But lane Ivern is not like, it's not a common thing, but it's not like a brand new thing. Even like pros have discussed it before. I know LS was a long time supporter of this idea of lane Ivern because you are very difficult to punish. And when you give a champion that's already so good on low economy, because his items are so cheap and strong, and then you give him like actual economy, he ends up scaling really well with the pace of the game. But there's a lot of pressure on Mike to be able to, get a lot of value done this game, get a lot of carry strength when you're, putting Blake on such a just straight support champion. And in my opinion, this is a really hard game to play Rengar. Like, both supports have a lot of CC to peel the Rengar well. Hui has good CC to peel the Rengar. Even Jace, if Rengar's not so fed that you're one-shotting the Jace when you jump on him, he just pushes you away with the E and the hammer form, and then can use phase rush to kind of kite Rengar out. So a lot of pressure on Mike to perform here if it's going to be really favorable for NYNB, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just, the secret tech that NYNB has cooked up. They're waiting to bring it out until it's a game that really matters. And I mean, I think it is fairly easy to draft picks that make Rengar's life hard. However, Mike is a very skilled Rengar player, so the impact that that's going to have is somewhat indeterminate. And VB is playing a very squishy team comp. The only really tanky member is Nautilus, so I think if Rengar can start getting onto people and they're not able to land the CC the way it needs to be, I think they're in big trouble. And the heavily squishy team comp also means that Caitlyn's going to get a lot of value. And Malzahar picks are going to be very quick. We've already seen the synergy come out with the Malzahar and the Rengar. All Malz has to do is press R, Rengar presses R, and just gets a free jump onto them. And yeah, Hui and Jace have self peel, but you can't use it if you're Malzahar ulted. So I think that
That's true.
is going to matter.
I do have some concern for the NYB comp, though. They don't actually have a ton of engage outside of, like you just said, kind of Malzahar finding someone. And, BB has just kind of quietly drafted a pretty insane poke composition at the end of the day. Like, Wei, Jace are both able to poke so consistently from range. And even Smolder, as you get later into the game and he has good range, it's just spamming Q, spamming W. It could be really hard for, BBs or NYMB to ever actually walk up to the BB team. And then if you ever do, you then have to deal with the Nautilus plus Nami CC. So I do think I'm favoring the BB draft here just because I think, ease of execution is definitely on their side, and I think that's always pretty important. And I think they also have the opportunity to kind of just scale. Like, I don't think they're pressured to do anything while also having the ability to just, show up the team fights, set up on objectives correctly, and it's going to be really challenging for NYMB's comp to, approach.
Yeah, but I think if there's one thing that NYMB has shown, or this core of players has shown over their strong games in Season 5 and this season, is their ability to generate leads that are kind of insurmountable very quickly in the game. Mike and PB work together amazingly across the map, and they're really able to just get things going. And if they're able to play around the Caitlyn Rengar correctly, it is going to be so hard to execute a poke comp into those two fed champions. But I think if they don't really get it going with that, I think it's going to be hard for them to find a way back into the game if they do slip behind. But poke compositions are notoriously hard to execute, and hey, we're still like freaking plat average players, so I think there's always a way to lose the game on a poke comp. We are not good enough that we can play them perfectly, and I mean, even at the pro level, you still see people just throw games because they can't play a poke comp correctly, which I do think tilts a little bit in New York Nutbusters' favor. They're in their complete comfort zone to execute on this comp, whereas I feel like this is a little different from what we've traditionally seen from BB, where Nishan will play more of like a frontline bruiser, and now is swapped over to the Jace, who usually does not build as many tanky items. If we do see like the Grasp Jace come out, which was really strong earlier this year but has completely fallen off at this point, I think maybe you kind of lean back in a different direction, but I highly doubt that that's going to come through.
I'm also curious what build we'll see from the Smolder. I mean, Blake himself on the other side has shown that this kind of bruisery health stacking Smolder build can actually still do a lot of work. And if Taxi's at all concerned about being able to survive the burst of a Rengar, being able to survive a Malzahar ult, he may look for that type of build. And then you could end up in a situation where, the entire top side of Jace, Nautilus, and Smolder all end up being kind of bruisery, and Mike's left with, fewer targets that he could kind of look for a one-shot on.
Yeah, I do think the poke comp really loses its power if you have that many bruisery builds, though, because the oppressiveness of the poke is really watered down, and the DPS from this team is not really there in the same capacity that you'd see it from other team compositions. But we are loading in, so we're going to see what the lane assignments are for sure, and it does look like it's going to be the Smolder mid and the Jace top. So I'm going to get our info for that. All right, and looking at the champion info, the overall records of these are not anything to really look at. Brahms and Hui's actually records and scrims are pretty comparable and equally disgusting. Somehow our
being
NA
one of the
Jace
most
is
played
21
champs.
and 16. The champion matchups, we have not seen Ivern versus Jace, or Rengar versus Nautilus, or Malzahar versus Smolder, which is not surprising. Hui is 4-0 against Caitlyn, and Nami is 5-2 against Braum. I will say, I think a couple of those Caitlyn games were me playing into Evan's Hui and the peak of Hui bot, and it felt way better than a lot of the other matchups. But I don't know. I think it's still a pretty rough matchup.
Yeah, I think Hui just really, as soon as Hui gets Lost Chapter and is able to permanently put down the Q version of like kind of the lava field, you're able to just clear waves out so quickly that even if you're not trying to like dominate the lane through poking the Caitlyn down, you just can constantly clear the wave to where Caitlyn's not allowed to actually, sit at your turret, get plates, and poke you down under the turret. So I think it's kind of just a nullifier into a Caitlyn lane, and I think it's a good answer here if you're worried about, Alex and PB, being able to find some big advantage.
Yeah, I mean, moving forward, past performance, I think Blake's Ivern has been disgusting. Mike is surprisingly only 8-8 on the Rengar. Mason's undefeated on the Nautilus pick. Taxi and Eden's records on these are rough, though, and this is first times coming out from Archived and Nishan. But you do have to keep in mind that both of these players are a little newer to the server, Nishan especially to top lane, so that's not super surprising. But Alana, Alex, PB all on way more comfort, and I think this is such like a comfort draft for NYNB, and this is definitely new territory for BB overall. Even though we do see the undefeated record on the not jungle, it's still not something that they're as comfortable on as they would be.
It's so funny to me that a comp with Ivern top can be called a comfort draft, but that is just the reality of it. Blake is very comfortable on that champion, and I'm just excited to see how they pair together. If it's going to be, Mike going top lane a lot here in the early game, I do think, Jace is potentially vulnerable to ganks. I mean, if Jace is pushing up, and is overextending and Mason's not there to cover, there's definitely an ability to get run down in that lane. We'll see what the rune choice from Jace was, but if he did not go phase rush, I'd be really worried that he could just get run down by the Ivern and the Rengar together.
Yeah, but we are loading into game right now, so I think we should have all of our questions answered pretty soon. Once I get off a black screen. Fingers crossed.
Hopefully.
And here we go. Just quick mastery check. Everyone but Nishan has level 4 or higher on their champion, but that is level 5 minimum with the Malzahar, and insanely high mastery on pretty much everything else for NYNB, and low levels across the board except for jungle and support for BB, but that kind of lines up with what we had been thinking anyway.
Yep. Can we see the skins, please? Skin check. Grillmaster Braum. I've not seen that, actually. I like that.
I mean, Bizahar is like goated.
Bizarre is goated. And we do have the phase rush from Jace, so expected to see that. Definitely a must-take, in my opinion. And so I do believe, if Jace is positioning well enough, should have the ability to kind of get away if they can dodge the critical routes.
Or Malzahar ultimates.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Everything else looking pretty standard across the board. Hui can either opt for the Airy or the Comet has opted to go for the Airy this game. I think that makes sense. Like if you're trading a lot of auto attacks onto a Braum, you can get a little bit more damage there than you would with the Comet. Taxi did go for the Fleet Footwork, tending to indicate more of like a standard Smolder build. Didn't go for like the Grasp, which I don't think you necessarily needed to. So with the Fleet Footwork, though, I mean, we'll just have to kind of do stack checks pretty often on Smolder this game. But, you know, into the Malzahar, as we already mentioned, Smolder can stack so incredibly fast.
Yeah, I mean, I think that probably means that Smolder's not going to be going for the tanky build. I'd imagine you'd want Grasp regardless if that's what you're going towards. So that could be a little interesting, but that's obviously not guaranteed. Anything can really happen here. Rengar's going to walk up, grab Vision on the Raptors, and I think BB is going to be none the wiser about that. Bot lane is just going to go normally. No crazy bush cheese or anything. PB getting his standard ward in that middle bush. And just some light trading coming out top in favor of Ivern so far.
Yeah, Ivern with the press the attack. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know too much about lane Ivern, so we're kind of all learning together here, I think. But excited to see what they can get done. That's a huge
that
Q
is a
coming
stun
down
on the
level
way
1.
now, and he drops down to 100 health and before 2 minutes.
And that's what you're talking about. Like, that should just not happen. But the comfort of PB and Alex on these champions just dominating the lane immediately. That's just an insane trade at level 1.
Yeah, and PB's just able to plant himself in this bush and just walk up aggressively, completely zoning him off the wave. They're up level 2, and I think it's possible that BB's bot lane has missed minions at this point.
Certainly.
This top lane looks disgusting.
It's so funny.
I would absolutely no part of
funny.
this. I'm so glad I did not have to play into Blake yesterday. Oh my god.
Blake is the true top lane fiend. We've seen the Anivia top. Now he's bringing out the Ivern top. And it's not like this guy can't play standard picks and pop off, but just you never know what you're going to get with Blake. It's always fun. Another good trade down bot lane.
Okay, Nishan finally going in is rooted up, but just still losing out overall. I think that trade in and of itself might have been slightly positive, but not overall.
I will say, you do have to think this has got to be Nishan's first time ever playing Jason to Ivern. Like, this has got to be. So Blake definitely has some like matchup advantage just in knowledge of, you know, how the trades are supposed to work, how it should go out. Mason is pathing top here. Could look for a gank, try to give his top laner some relief.
Yeah, Mike is pathing bot here.
But with the wave there, there's just no real angle for Mason. So, you know, pretty annoying. Blake has to be really careful here, trying to get this wave in. If Mason wants to stick around, he could. Yeah, we are seeing that.
The root comes out. Flash is available for the Ivern, but Blake just with the fancy feet able to dodge out and doesn't even need to expend flash there.
That's great by Blake. Doesn't even have to use his flash, as you just said. And now they're going to look for an angle on bot.
Yep, and Archive just immediately stunned up. Should be going down to somebody. Flash forward comes out from Alex, and the auto does get canceled, and that is going to cost them the kill there.
Wow, I can't believe they aren't able to secure the kill there. That was a really nice flash route by Mike, timed with PB. And, you know, I thought they'd have like the trap under it to guarantee the kill, but Alex may have autoed a minion there or canceled an auto attack. Not entirely sure which, but that's really fortunate for the BB lane to not die there.
Yeah, and I mean, Summoner Spell advantage actually is going over to BB after that interaction. They got 2 flashes in exchange for a flash and a heal, so you're very happy with that result.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think the pressure's gone down any, and Archived may be done for now. That's 3 hits of the stun and 1 auto attack away. If that stun came through, they would have been able to pick up the kill there.
Yeah. Wave in a good spot for them, though. You know, they're able to just collect this farm. Archive does have TP, so can just come back with the TP. But, you know, they've already generated a pretty big CS lead bot, which is helping out because if you look on your screen, Smolder has also started to generate that CS lead mid.
Yeah, and the CS lead top is not as bad as it was before Mason showed up and helped that lane even out a little bit. Definitely got more value off of their gank top than Mike did on his.
Yeah. Yeah. It's rough. I think the gank bot made total sense. It just did not secure. But I would now like to see potentially Mike try and go top lane, see if he can do something there as well. I think if we ever end up like a 2v2 top lane, the Ivern Rengar should just dominate that.
Oh yeah, easily. I mean, Blake is dominating this 1v1, so this is
I'm really curious
actually disgusting to watch.
Like, is he gonna go for like a straight support build? Is he gonna look for something like a Nightheart? Oh, Nightheart isn't in the game anymore. I don't know. We'll see what Blake ends up choosing to build, but definitely has options.
Yeah, I genuinely have no clue what could come down here. I feel like something like a Leandri's like maybe could be good, except they don't have enough tanks to justify it on the other team.
Yeah,
but
potentially like a Rylai's could come through at some point. You know, when you are with this higher economy that he's going to get from farming, you have the ability to make Daisy, who's already so strong, into an extremely big threat.
Yep, and speaking of that R, it's now a 2v1 in the top lane, and this might just be a solo bull. The knockup comes down onto Nishan. Blake just getting the autos out, but Mason is in the area, and that could be enough to make a difference. But First Blood is going to go over to the Ivern, and he is killed on the back of it, but you get First Blood, which doesn't actually matter anymore, but you're going to get Dragon on top of it, and you have to spend the jungler's time top.
Yeah, critically for Nishan is able to trade and actually get the kill there. It did not go into Nautilus, which is what you prefer, to be able to stay closer in gold to the Ivern. But, you know, Blake just playing that really, really well.
Yeah, and that's a solo kill for Taxi. Malzahar ult was not used. I'm not sure if there's enough mana for it. Or if it would have mattered, to be honest.
I don't think it matters. Even if you ult there, Taxi's going to come out of it and still finish you off because you'd have been 1 HP. Taxi doing a really good job of just poking Alana down in lane.
Yeah, Archive's possibly getting stunned up here, but again, just barely avoiding it. And Nautilus is pathing down towards bot, looking for a possible play here. Archive is still going to avoid the stun, and now Alex is in big trouble. The fear is perfect, comboed into Mason's gank, and this is just going to be a double kill coming out for the side of BB, and they've taken a 4-1 lead, which does give them the kill feed.
Yeah, that's so tragic for the bot lane of NYNB. I mean, they've just been playing the 2v2 so extremely well, but they were not able to capitalize on that kill angle earlier. And I mean, frankly, Mason's just kind of carrying the map right now. Like, yes, Taxi's dominating the 1v1, but Mason is helping both side lanes out so much.
And it looks like the objective advantage is going over to NYNB pretty solidly here. Blake's still trading so disgustingly well into Nishan here. And it looks like
I wonder if you could even look for a dive here as soon as Mike gets off of these grubs. I mean, he has the ultimate. I definitely think it's available. Maybe once Daisy comes up, if they want to look for that.
Yeah, I think what you don't want to do as NYNB here is give up on making the aggressive plays just because they haven't been going well. Because if you don't make any of them, then you pretty much just concede the game. But Taxi looking for another solo kill here, not finding quite enough damage for it. Did have ultimate available for the fight, but Alana just not falling down low enough to be killed. Void Grubs do go over to NYNB, all three of them. There could be a play top, but Mason's now in the area to cover. They could be looking mid instead. Rengar did 10 down that way. The ultimate has not been used yet.
Be nervous here though. I think Alana.
Yeah, I think Thrill the Hunt is going to come out here. He's now looking for Nishan in the top lane, but just has to walk out as soon as Mason shows. But Daisy coming through, and looks like Taxi is looking for that kill in the mid lane. Is going to drop ult, but gets ulted, but is just going to get the kill through it. But now that skirmish top is coming through, Bromstun is going to come down, and that's a shutdown going over to the Ivern. Not who you wanted on, but Rengar is at least going to get a Bone Tooth stack here, which is what you need.
Definitely. They were kind of hovering on mid, opted to go for the top play. I don't hate that, but at some point, next time Alana has the ultimate up, I think you need to see everybody just force on a Taxi and try to give Alana some relief in that lane.
Yeah, this Smolder counter pick is getting a lot of work done and has not been punished at all. Almost at 100 CS, basically a 20 CS lead over anyone else in the game, and now Alex is losing some of the lane pressure that he had earlier in the game after Braum had to rotate up top to help with that. I think it's worth it, but it's a little hard. But huge play from Nishan, is able to knock Blake into the tower and pick up the kill there. Well executed.
Yeah, very well played. Catches Blake with a turret shot, and then, as you saw, just flash behind, knock him into another turret shot, and that's big by Nishan. Blake is going for a Lost Chapter item, and considering that he has the Blasting Wand, we'll see if he's sitting on the Lost Chapter and going for something else, but those two components do build into Malignant, so he could be looking for that if he thinks having Daisy uptime is the most important thing.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. PB actually could be caught out here. It gets collapsed on by the Nautilus, and we've seen this 3v2 before. It does not go in New York Nutbusters' favor, but they're able to just walk it out this time. Malzahar ult is almost back up. Rengar ult is available. They could be looking for a play on it mid at some point, but I think you want to hold those ultimates for the next dragon, because that way you could secure objective feats as New York Nutbusters. And Blake's advantage is kind of withering away in this lane. The first item, Serpent's Fang, has been completed for Jace, which is really good matchup tech.
Yeah. Really negates the trading power of Ivern with the shield decay or decrease, but
yeah, I mean your auto attacks are still doing more than Jace's, which is a little stupid, but his abilities are a little bit better. I don't think Blake's going to be able to win out on this fight, but Daisy at least stops him from being killed.
Yeah, phase rush there allows him to get away from the Daisy knockup, or Blake maybe could have looked to trade more heavily there, but yeah, I don't know. Jace is just playing
Braum just walking up here, though, maybe looking for a play on mid, is not going to be able to find it, and now Rengar ult is just not getting them any value here. Probably stalls the play for a little bit, but I think they're still not looking for the engaged bot. But the hook comes out, and it's now going to find Alex, but Mason is a little far up here and is going to get jumped on by the Rengar, but so much healing coming out from Nami, uses the W and the heal summoner spell, but Rengar just gets rooted up here and gets hit by the hook from Mason, and Taxi is just able to walk out of this alive, and BB is just looking for another kill here. I don't think they're going to be able to find one. Archive walking up a little far, but not far enough that he's actually caught. But Blake looking for the solo kill top, but Nishan might be able to find it instead. One auto is going to seal the deal here, but Blake's just not in range for it. And these plays are just going in favor of BB across the map.
Well. Yeah, BB just playing well. I mean, frankly, I think their comp's just really good against NYB's comp. You'd already mentioned how they needed to get advantage. Caitlyn didn't even have completed item at that fight. Has it now, but it's just so difficult for them to actually find kills. And now you have a pretty sizable gold lead here at 13 minutes for the side of BB. And I don't know if we can check what Smolder's stacks are, but 2-0 and 1 already, looking really scary.
146.
Already 146. That's crazy.
Yeah, Malzahar ult is not available here, so there's not really a play on Taxi. They're going to get an auto off, and the Braum shield's going to stop the damage back, but all you've really done is given him a stack or two. But now they're looking for the play on Nishan, but the evolved ability does come through, and it's not going to land. Yeah, tragedy in the top lane. Taxi could be looking for another solo kill, just the way this lane's been going. You see Taxi walk up and a lot at half health or lower, and that's the danger zone for sure. Nishan is definitely going to stop this base, uses the Empowered Shock Blast, walks up, but Daisy comes through. This may be a kill onto Nishan, but there's just no follow-up. The knockup does come through. If Root's available, that could be enough to secure it. And maybe Daisy just walks in her tower and just autos Jace to death. Rengar actually not able to get anything there. Did use the ultimate, not able to find an advantage, but that's a solo kill on Ivern top at a play that Nishan initiated.
Yeah, that time the phase rush was not able to get Nishan out of the Daisy knockup range.
Yeah, I wonder if it was popped earlier in the fight and Blake maybe just waited for it to expire.
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure there, but well done by Blake. You get a little bit back, but I mean, unfortunately, all 3 kills right now are on the Ivern top, which you need kills on the Caitlyn, you need kills on the Rengar, and we'll see if they're able to kind of find some group play. As you said, they still have good crowd control. If they can find a pick with Malzahar at some point, try to get gold onto a carry. I don't think they're out of this completely, but it is a little dire when you're considering the scaling factor that BB has.
Yeah, I'm wondering what the play is here. Rift Herald's up soon. The other dragon wasn't able to be secured by New York Nutbusters, so the objective feats are still kind of in the balance here. And there is a 4-man collapse top lane, but it's spotted out by a ward that was swept just after the play started. There's 3 people up here for NYNB, but I think you just have to give the Rift Herald, which means objective feats are going to go to whoever gets the next dragon. Unless there's a steal opportunity here, but there's just no reason for NYNB to force this. They're on such a back foot here if they go for this play. Daisy is being dropped. Maybe they're looking for a play off the backside. TP's coming up from Malzahar, and that's a knock up onto 3 of them. And Mike's able to get in, but isn't able to find anything, just gets CC'd up for so long. But now the suppression comes down onto Nautilus, and they're able to get a kill onto the Rengar. Jace is going to be the one that falls, but Malzahar now just going to be taken out here, and Ivern is not going to have enough to stop any of this. Taxi gets rooted before he's going to be able to get another kill, but that's a 3-for-1 advantage going over to BB, and I'm not sure why you fight there for NYNB. They executed it as well as they could, but you're just already behind, in the positioning was just not there, with Alana TPing a bit after the fight starts.
Yeah, and I mean, you saw it there. Like, it's just so challenging for Mike to get in. Even trying to follow up on a really nice ultimate by PB on the Braum, just jumped right into a Nami tidal wave. I mean, it's just so difficult to actually get in there.
Yeah, and now that you've given up 3 of your members in exchange for the Rift Herald, then you do just straight up lose feats because of that mid turret being able to get taken uncontested with the Rift Herald. And it's a 4.5k gold lead already for BB.
Yeah. And I mean, Taxi's up 80 farm, 3-0-3 on this counter pick. I mean, I don't know. You're not allowed to pick Malzahar's blind pick if Smolder's open. I mean, it's just really intelligent counter pick here and playing it to perfection so far.
Yeah, and this is something that NYNB had been prioritizing kind of throughout the season, so it's interesting to see that they let it fall through. And it's such a big asset for the other team.
Yeah, I definitely was considering that, you know, maybe they would even look to just like first pick the Smolder for themselves. Blake has shown such a willingness to play it. Obviously, they came in with this plan of, you know, we're just insta-locking Rengar Ivern. I don't hate it, but it's just so hard to pull off when you've got such a deficit.
Yeah, and honestly, the Iverns looked pretty well. It's just the Rengar has been having a lot of struggles into this composition. It's definitely something that you plan for. I feel like everyone knows that Mike could always pull out the Rengar. And Mike is dropping the ult here, and I think Mason's just going to get the dragon uncontested, but they're maybe looking for a play on the back of it, and they actually force Mason off. The stun comes down, and Rengar's ult auto attack is used on the dragon, and I think that means that 3 of his teammates are going to die, but the dragon was secured.
Yeah. And they get the drag, but man, it's just intelligent by Mason. Like, the drag does not actually matter here. Backs off to guarantee that he's not going to get bursted out, and then they just
miss from Ivern. I think just means he's dead here. He gets knocked away, and Taxi's going to show up, flashes forward to get the kill, and that's 4 members dead. Rengar able to secure dragon, and I don't know. The entire bot half of NYNB is 0-9 right now. Not what you want to see, especially where we thought that was where they were going to get their leads.
Yeah, I mean, you saw it. They had the early advantage in the lane. They were not able to convert on that really nice gank by Mike at level 4 or 5, whatever it was. And, you know, from there, Mason shows up, gives a gank for his team, and at that point, there was just no punishing the Hui. Like we said, Hui gets Lost Chapter, can spam the abilities from range. Caitlyn cannot punish him anymore.
Yeah,
and that's on top of mid just being a black hole this game. I mean, you have this Omega scaling counter pick that was also got 2 solo kills. I mean, it's really challenging. And now Smolder has a QSS. So it's like, even if you try to find some pick with Malzahar, frankly, I mean, we got a 7k gold lead at 20 minutes. This one's a little doomed.
Yeah, Nishan might be falling down here. Mike's in the area, has the ability to hop here. The root's coming through from Ivern, and that's a huge kill for Mike, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough for them to come back in this game.
No, I mean, it's something, but none of that changes the problem, which is as soon as this BB comp groups up, I don't see how you can win a team fight.
Yeah, and this position is really weird because Smolder's there, and I'm not sure they know it. Nautilus is going to get rooted, but it takes so long to kill him, and now Taxi gets to just free hit on everybody, and Taxi already has execution at 20 minutes. Ivern running away here. If he gets an auto, then it's going to get the Braum stun through, but that doesn't really save you. Nautilus is starting to get this mana back now that he's in the jungle, and now Taxi just picking up another kill. This is 7-0-6 on Smolder mid with stacks at 20 minutes. I think the game's just over.
Go next. Hate to say it, but that's the reality of this one. Gonna pick up the Otacon here too. As good as the Smolder has been, I really think Mason's kind of the MVP of this game. Like, Smolder dominated the lane, but Mason has played so well, as you saw there. He's unkillable at this point. When BB had any, or when NYB had anything going in this early game in the sides, he shut down both side lanes. And at this point, it's just an unkillable wall in these team fights that is hitting hook after hook, putting ultimate onto key members, and making it really easy for the Hwei and the Smolder to just DPS from the backline.
Yeah, I mean, they're still doing what they need to try and get any advantages back into the game. Alex able to get the objective bounty on the bot side. But it's just tough. Very hard spot for them to play in. Definitely see the upside of the Rengar Ivern, but BB did a really good job of drafting into what NYNB wanted this game.
Yeah, they came in with a clear plan. I mean, I'm sure they had this Smolder pick the entire time. As soon as they banned the Aurora, it's common knowledge that the next thing Alana is going to 100% take is the Malzahar. The fact that they did not ban it in second phase showed that they were very happy with Alana to pick it, and clearly because they had the Smolder answer. And it's worked to perfection.
Yeah, literal perfection. That's a 0 death that we're looking at right here. Actually, for the entire bottom side of BB, mid and bot lane, undefeated, and yeah.
It's worked better than you would expect it to, because as good as the counter pick is, it should not be getting solo kills in lane. So I mean, it's worked even better than you would hope.
Yeah, and Alex is in such a tough spot here. They don't know that Nishan's coming. The Empowered Shock Blast is going to miss, so maybe Alex can live, but Nautilus ult is coming through, and that is just going to be a dead AD carry, and I think that's going to be a second kill picked up for the Hwei. That's 6-0-2 right now. The Archangels just got completed. I think Nishan is going to end up dying here. I'm not sure if that's enough to make a difference. Rengar ult just came up, so he's going to run around the back and pick it back up. Maybe he's able to find the angle on Hwei, but no, the fear comes through. Another hop, but so much health is there. But that's actually a 1,000 gold shutdown going onto the Rengar from the kill onto Hwei. Nautilus able to just walk out here, but Taxi could be caught out a little bit, but all the bushes just went away. And I think that is going to cost them the rest of this fight. Taxi able to pick up another kill. Might be able to find more under tower. The QSS does have to come out to stop the Ivern route, but almost a really huge comeback there, but still significant for the side of NYNB. That's a lot of gold going down onto Rengar, and his bone
that was a good angle by NYNB. I mean, that fight showed exactly what the purpose of this composition is. Rengar found a nice ultimate onto the Hwei, and even then, Archived and Eden peeled it really well. The moment that Mike jumped in, you saw a Hwei fear into a Nami ultimate. But what happened? Blake immediately gave Rengar another bush, and it allowed him to connect onto Hwei a second time. And if this game state was closer, that combination is really scary. But it's just so hard to pull off at this point that even when they play it well, there's just not enough juice in the tank to get through everybody.
Yeah, something I failed to mention when I pointed out the 3 Deathless players on BB is the impact that has on Rengar. His Bone Tooth passive really needs you to get kill participation on everybody, and he just now got it on his 3rd member. So he's basically playing at like a 16% AD debuff at this point, so quite significant. I mean, if he would be quite happy to get the 1,000 gold onto the Smolder too, but finishing off that Bone Tooth necklace to get that full 25% AD buff is going to be massive. Spell Shield is caught out here, and they're now blast coning over to try and close out on this, but Nishan immediately stunned up, and Caitlyn, able to get the trap down, is not able to get it because the blast cone the other way is there. And now Taxi, able to pick up a kill in this fight, forces the flash out of Braum, and Nishan living on less than 100 health, and that is going to be absolutely brutal. And now Blake is going to fall in the back of this fight as well. I don't see a world where he can get out. Rengar just pops ultimate to run away undetected, and that's 2 kills going over to BB in a fight that looked like maybe NYNB could have found a pick on Nishan, but it just doesn't end up happening.
Yeah, it's just so hard at this point. Mason is unkillable, and Taxi is just a problem. Not to mention the fact that the bot lane for their team is 1 death, putting out a ton of damage, playing really, really well.
Yeah, I mean, that, again, I don't want to emphasize this like too much in case people take it the wrong way, but this is not the part of BB that we expected to be doing well, and they're 7-1 and 18 cumulatively. Like, if this is supposed to be the weak spot of your team, and that's the worst you're doing anywhere, that's a big problem for NYNB. I think the top lane matchup, both of them ending up 3-5, about even, is kind of what we expected, and I think that's even more impressive from Blake, considering the spot the game's in right now, but you really need to be finding leads in the bot lane for NYNB here.
Yeah, and as good as PB played on the Braum in that early game, I mean, they were dominating from level 1 in that lane. As you saw on like the statistics, Nami wins that matchup. And to me, it just feels like all 3 champions with the Smolder, the Hwei, and the Nami all hard counter what NYNB has picked. And it just feels like BB came in with a better plan, a better draft, and they've executed it well. So 9K gold lead here, you know, it's not over till it's over, but as we start to look towards the game 2, I'm really going to expect NYNB to have to switch it up.
Yeah, and I wonder if they have a plan to deal with this Smolder. Rise did get banned before. Clearly they were worried enough about that. Maybe there's an angle where NYNB wants to take blue side again so that they can contest the Smolder. But I know how much Blake loves red side, so I don't know. It's a tough call for them to have to make there, and that's GA picked up 3rd for Taxi. He just wants to make sure he doesn't die all game, I think. And they're just going to slowly push this in.
With how good Taxi played on the Smolder this game, even like finding those solo kills, I wouldn't even hate for them to potentially look for some blind pick Smolder mid. Like, I don't think Alana has anything to actually punish it. And right here, Mike looking for an angle here, has the spell shield now on the Rengar, but they just peel off immediately when his ult gets popped.
Yeah, he still could potentially find an angle here, but Braum was already used, or no, it just comes out now, and now the flank is coming through, able to find the kill onto Eden, so that's stack number 4 in the Bone Tooth, and you kind of don't even care if you die here.
Yeah.
You're at least peeling the rest of BB off your team. But you still need to find the kill on the Smolder, who's now 11-0-6.
Yeah, and has the Guardian Angel as well.
Yeah, unkillable.
And this may actually end up being the game here.
Yeah, Taxi is going to find almost a pseudo penta here. I think Jace was able to get 1 kill in there, but that's 4 for Taxi in that fight, 13-0-7, and that's a disgustingly clean game from BB to start off this series.
Yeah, and let's remember too the stakes at here. This is a battle for first place. If BB secures this series win, they will lock first place. And I mean, coming in with a great game 1. You know, as we consider an MVP for this game, I thought everyone on the side of BB played really well. I mean, Nishan did have 6 deaths. Now, you know, had to play into the really wacky Ivern. I'll give him some leeway there. That's a weird matchup. Probably he's never played it, as we mentioned. But everyone else just played so flawlessly, it felt like. But as we look towards an MVP, you know, what's your initial take there?
I mean, I think I kind of agree with the take you had earlier in the game. I think it's between Taxi and Mason. It's just a question of who you think deserves it more. But
yeah, Taxi played the game flawlessly, dominated the lane, but he did have, in my opinion, like a pretty free lane and a really great counter pick. To me, I think that game could have looked a lot scarier, even if you think they would have ultimately won with that scaling, if Mason had not completely saved Nishan's lane and then completely saved bot lane. It could go to either. I will let you decide, but both players performed extremely well.
It looks like they are going to switch sides to NYNB, or NYNB is taking red side, which is kind of what we expected. And it looks like the rosters are for sure staying the same, so none of those funky flex possibilities where Will plays on one side and Archive plays on the other. I still was thinking that that maybe could happen because I think there's a decent chance that they're running Archive this series because of the ability to play the Hui. That doesn't seem like something that would be in Will's bag. But I don't know. What do you think they're going to need to adapt going into this next game?
I don't know. Honestly, I think you just have to try to get a more favorable matchup, especially if you're a bot lane. Like, frankly, Alana does not have a deep enough champion pool, and it's a very known champion pool to where they will end up with a good matchup for Taxi. And I just don't believe NYNB would ever hold mid to last pick. So they're going to end up with a good matchup. What you have to secure is Alex and PB on a winning matchup. And frankly, Alex has a really known champion pool as well. I mean, he's really good on the Caitlyn and Varus, but through their entire season so far, he has only played Caitlyn and Varus in team play. I know he has other champions that you could potentially look to pull out here, but whatever you do, you have to have a favorable lane, bot lane. But if the Hui is not banned, I expect BB may just first pick Hui again and have that flex pick.
Yeah, or
and the Hui
maybe
is
just
so
ban
good.
Smolder, or maybe you leave them both up and take the other. But I mean, I don't think Alex is going to play Hui. The Ivern actually being banned in first round is respect to that pick top. It feels like Nishan did not know what to do with it. And yeah, as we said, the Hui's coming through. They still think the Rise is big enough of a problem. But the Hui first pick means that Smolder could be taken away from NYNB here, and I really struggle to see how they're going to win if that doesn't happen. But it's not. Aurora actually is being picked up here, though. It was able to slip through with the Ivern coming, and we'll have to see if Taxi is just willing to play Smolder again, and I think he should, unless they want to keep the Hui flex alive.
Yeah, we'll see what they go for here. But yeah, I mean, when it worked that well and you were able to punish a lane that more than you should have been able to, I don't see why you wouldn't be confident doing it into the Aurora.
Yeah, and we have Hui, Nami, Smolder again. These champions did not die at all until about 16 minutes into the last game, or even longer than that, I think. So I think it's going to be really hard to punish it again. But Aurora, Varus, Nautilus is a much more aggressive skirmishing composition. I think that is going to help Nurgle Nutbusters out a little bit. The problem is it going to be enough to kind of overwhelm what they played into last game, which they just couldn't touch them at all.
Yeah, and you do have the Nautilus, and maybe it could be a flex pick here. I don't know if Mike has played Nautilus. I don't think he has, but it's not like it's the hardest jungler in the world. It's not typically what you expect from Mike. He is much more of a carry player, and PB has a good Nautilus, so maybe that's the angle.
It is a good denial pick away from Mason, though, which I think is crucial. They've denied 3 junglers in a row from Mason. They're banning the Volibear and the Echo, and they've taken away the Nautilus. Rengar, Kayn, Viego banned out, in addition to Jarvan, are kind of Mike's top 4 champions. Lee Sin and Kindred are the other 2 that I'm thinking of, and we are just going to slam the Lee Sin. We saw Lee Sin completely 1v9 a game earlier this week, so we'll see if it can come again, but easy counter pick to it is going to be the Poppy slam down, and we're going to have to see what Blake's R5 pick is going to come out here. I think Mason can definitely have more impact on non-Poppy champions, but there's really no reason to pick anything else with Nautilus and Lee Sin on the table, and believe Aurora's little hop counts as a dash too, or I'm not sure.
Yeah.
And if Nishan just plays Singed, see, I think Nishan has been getting coaching from Lispy and Bappo, and those are the Singed number 1 and Singed number 2. We do know that Mason can play the Singed jungle, so this could just be Poppy top. It could be interesting if we see that flexed. NYB actually has no clue who is going to be in the top lane, and I think that makes Blake's life a lot harder in making a counter pick, because what champions counter both Poppy and Singed top?
Mordekaiser did get left open here. I don't know 100% about the matchup knowledge there, but has been a really good pick for Blake.
Kai'Sa top? Or Varus top?
It could be Varus top. It could be Varus top. Alex has not played it this season. But when you look at his top 3 champions all time in the server, it's a clear Varus, Caitlyn, Kai'Sa. So Kai'Sa has always been his number 3. I wouldn't hate that. And then you put the Varus top, which probably does have a pretty good matchup into either Poppy or Singed. Um,
Yeah.
but the problem with Kaisa is it's just so extremely outranged by the Hui and the Nami. You have the ability to, look for much stronger engage here. One thing is PB's playing engage versus disengage this game, so you have that opportunity. Maybe you can find stuff onto the backline carriers that you weren't able to before, and then you have Kaisa to follow up. But the lanes, again, to me, feel pretty favored to the side of BB, particularly bot and mid.
Yeah, and if we're looking at things that do end up countering both of them, um, I think you're looking at like Olaf and Kale are kind of the two options there, and I just really don't see them picking either of them. But I think you're kind of in the same vein with the Varus as the Kale, so that kind of does make sense. I think GP has a really good matchup into Singed, but not as good of a one into Poppy, so I think that makes it a little tough. And just a lot of the stuff that Blake would normally play just really tends to struggle into them. So I mean, we'll have to see if the Varus top is the angle or maybe the Kaisa top. If we're still
Yeah,
not sure which one
Kai'Sa
it is,
top.
but
I guess the logic there is, especially if it's the Singed top lane, anytime you're laning against
it
Singed,
is
he's
Kaisa
gonna go
top.
do yeah, he's gonna go do his thing. He's gonna go proxy, and your laner just gets to free farm. So you can have Blake on this Kaisa pick, just farming, farming, farming. It does scale well, but I still struggle to see it. If they don't play it really perfect engages, how you're going to blow up the Hui, how you're going to blow up the Smolder. Maybe Kaisa looks for kind of that AP variant to where you're then, have a lot of poke of your own. And you actually, with Kaisa W, you outrange Hui at that point. You outrange Smolder at that point. So maybe you kind of have that angle, but I don't know. The one thing I do like about NYNB, it's a much more aggressive composition. As aggressive as Rengar is, they did not have great engage that game. You have the ability to look for plays with the Varus ult, with the Nautilus. Alana has played extremely well on Aurora the majority of this season, has been a lot harder to punish on that champion, has scaled well, has farmed well on that champ. I do have some faith here for NYMB that they could look to kind of find those team plays, find those engages, and try to show us a good bounce back here.
Yeah, and we do have confirmation that the Kaisa is going to be the top laner. We don't have confirmation on what the other top laner is going to be. I'd imagine it's probably the Singed. Yeah, and that is confirmed now that it's been locked in. But I think this game is going to be so hard for NYNB to play. I think they probably just didn't have anything prepped for this Hui Smolder Nami bot side, and it's just hard to come up with something to beat something that just kind of whooped you so hard in the first game in the span of kind of 5 minutes. I mean, you have some time as the game is winding down to think of it, but when you're just completely out prepped in a series, it is very hard to figure stuff out. I think this looks a little better into it, and if we see really good plays come out from Mike and PB with these kind of like more engaged focused champions, I think maybe they could turn it around, but it's going to be so hard for them just with how strong this looked for BB in the previous game. And heading over to the champion stats real quick, this is first time for Nishan, but as we've said, he has coaching from two really good Singed players, and Taxi, Archived, and Eden all just won on these picks. Mason has been not performing super great on the Poppy, but Mike 4-9 on Lee Sin isn't exactly a strong endorsement either, as well as Alana 5-11 on Aurora. It is very comfort, but they haven't tended to win most of their games on these champions. Now Alex and PB a little more comfortable on these, but across the board this is a losing win rate for every single pick on NYNB's side, so either it will continue to trend that way or maybe it'll sway back in their favor. Looking over at the season records, nothing really stands out to me except for Smolder and Hui being good, which we already knew. And the player matchups, we actually didn't get to touch on last time because of how quickly the game loaded in, but this is Alex and Archive's first ever matchup. Taxi has actually played into Alana only once before the series, and Alana did not get a single kill or assist in that game, which is insane. Jar versus Mike has been kind of close. It's now 14-10 between the two of them. but PB versus Eden being dead even is also something that's a little surprising to me. But
Yeah,
spectator delay
definitely.
should wind down soon. We should get into game. But what are you going to be looking for this game?
I'm really excited. I'm curious to see how Mason's able to pilot this Poppy. I think Poppy's actually a really strong jungle champion, and again has good like abilities to gank these lanes. You have really good setup with the bot lane through the Hui and the Nami CC, but also with the Singed. I mean, shout out to Spamafia in chat. Kind of mentions how Singed has the ability to flip someone back into Poppy's range, and that can be like just an uncounterable form of CC. If Singed flips you into a Poppy slam into the wall, at that point, it's probably just a one shot. So I'm really looking at Mason to play the early game well as he did last game, um, put a lot of pressure down onto Mike, and really facilitate his team's ability to scale. Because if you do look at one thing, their lanes are a lot weaker early. The Smolder needs to scale, the Singed needs to get items. The way we saw, what those early levels looked like last game really got punished. So it's going to be on Mason to kind of help his team bridge that gap. But he did it flawlessly last game. And frankly, I think Poppy here is just set up to do the exact same thing.
Okay, looks like Nautilus did end up taking Smite this game, and BB has asked to not let NYNB remake. So we'll see what ends up happening here.
I'm not
I don't
familiar with
know.
what the rules are on that, but it's unfortunate
I
that he's
mean,
taken
I would
Smite.
say any time I've ever been in a game, I would absolutely let the team who has the wrong fucking summoner spell remake. But
Well, at the end of the day, but if
yeah,
my understanding of the rules is if they're going to deny them that opportunity, then that's that.
yeah. I mean, I think if it's a bug, uh, it's a remake. But yeah.
Based on the chat, it appears they want you to decide. I mean, frankly, in my opinion, I think it's as much as it is like oh, you fucked up, like you need to be on top of that. At the end of the day, in the spirit of like good competition, I don't see why you wouldn't let somebody remake. That's my take, though.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's poor sportsmanship not to. As much as you can say, you have to figure that
yeah,
out.
I mean,
Yes, it is on
absolutely. I think
PB,
this
but
is a really scummy decision by BB to not let them remake here. But I mean, I think it's always just been an agreement to let people remake. Is he even able to purchase a support item with Smite?
I'm not entirely sure on that. And Bean's right. If they were in the same position, they would ask for a remake. But
Yeah, I mean, I don't know a single other team that would not ask for a remake here. This is,
hey, if we're allowed to decide, I say tell them to remake.
yeah, I mean,
Well, as we wait on this decision, we can kind of talk about what else is showing.
okay, I'm
Obviously, if you
getting
do
invited
agree,
to a game, so I think they've decided to remake it. Jesus
good.
fucking Christ, dude! If that didn't happen, I mean, even the fact that they asked to decline the remake is disgusting, in my opinion. I like
Yeah, but it
that's
is what it is. We move on from that.
yeah,
Ultimately, all is well. Um, as we look toward, and the other thing with the remake, though, you do expect everyone else to take the exact same runes, the exact same summoners. You're not supposed to use that to get any
right.
information to then change. That's kind of the typical understanding. Is the only thing that's going to change is smite towards whatever PB wants. I would assume ignite here. I think that would make sense.
Yeah.
And then at that point, we should be able to see the game actually start and play out. We'll have to wait on another spectator delay, I guess, which is a little unfortunate. Yeah, and apparently as of recent few patches, you're not even able to take the support item if you have Smite. So I mean, if that's the case, I mean, there's just no other option but to remake. Yeah, it is unfortunate that it happened. Ultimately, it is kind of on the player's fault to not notice that. But I will say that I've noticed that depending on what you pick, the recommended page is often giving Smite. Even in my series yesterday, I believe when I picked Silas, it tried to make me take Smite. So you kind of have to be paying attention to that and making sure that you're putting the proper summoner spell. But all is
Yeah.
well, all is fixed. We're going back into game 2. Everything's fair. And I'm excited for this one. We've kind of already talked about it a little bit, but if you had one player you kind of got your eye on here, Dean, who is it?
I think it's Mike. I mean, I think he's going to have a hell of a time, but I think if anyone's going to be able to completely flip the game, it's going to be the Lee Sin making plays with the Nautilus and turning things around. He had a great game in the first game into a completely horrible draft. I think he played it to the best of what he kind of had presented to him. Which was it was a rough draft, but he was able to go actually even that game. I think the only player on his team to do so, and if he's able to do that with the Lee Sin, I think a lot could get done here. I think there's a lot more potential. However, the Poppy Singed lock into the Lee Sin makes it pretty damn hard, so he's gonna have to play his ass off if he wants to flip that. I think the wild cards are going to be this Kai'Sa top pick, and if Nishan is proficient enough on Singed to be able to pull this off. So top lane is going to be the lane I want to watch, but I think individual player who has the most ability to kind of flip this game on its head is going to be coming from jungle.
I'm not sure what Nishan's comfort is on Singed, and I do kind of agree with Rat and Chat that I think they should have sent Varus top. Like I've seen Blake play Kai'Sa, and Alex is his second most comfortable champion after Caitlyn is on the Varus. But as I mentioned, his third is the Kai'Sa. And yes, he has not played it yet this season, but when you look at his all-time stats, definitely could pilot it. It pairs well with the Nautilus. And I think Varus top is like actually a legitimate pick. Like it really abuses melee champions, but they've stuck with this what they're going with. Varus, Kai'Sa top versus Varus top. Kai'Sa top is a lot weaker early game than Varus is extremely vulnerable to getting, punished in this early game. And while yes, Singed players are going to often look for that proxy style to where, Blake will get to free farm, Singed does not have to proxy. The reason Singed almost always proxies is because Singed loses most lanes in a pure 1v1 in the early game. But against something like Kai'Sa, I don't actually have that much faith that Kai'Sa could punish Singed in a 1v1. So if I'm BB, what I'm looking for is for Nishan to actually stay in the lane a little bit more than you normally would and to try to set up for Mason ganks. Because if they're able to gank the Kai'Sa and kill the Kai'Sa and make Kai'Sa miss farm, make Kai'Sa miss waves, very quickly, Kai'Sa top lane could start to look kind of useless, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe Kai'Sa top might just be useless. I think it's kind of on Blake to prove that this pick has merit, more so than BB to prove that it doesn't.
Yeah.
But
Blake does have the license, though. There are a few players in this server that have the license to play anything they want. In my opinion, I would give them the license. I'm giving Blake one. I mean, we've seen him make Kayn top work. We've seen him make Anivia top work. We've seen him make Ivern top work. If there's anybody that can make this look good, it is going to be Blake. So I'm excited to see it. But yeah, that barrier of execution is very, very high. Now, I will like to see, as there's kind of been some discussion in chat, I would like to see Varus go for the build that we've seen from a lot of other players in this server so far. where you get the Hex Plate, you go for more of a tankier bruiser build, you get the Terminus, you potentially even could go for something like a Jack Show, and you become very difficult to kill. Now, the concern is, if mid lane goes the same way as last game and Taxi gets fed on the Smolder, I don't know if it's going to matter. But
yeah, it
I
almost
could see Varus being very difficult for everyone else to kill if he's able to get that tankier build.
Until minions spawn.
PB is sitting top lane here. Maybe they're thinking that Singed will try to look for like that level 1 proxy and then he could be there. But typically if Singed is going to do that, you don't go until a little bit later. And at that point, PB is going to have to back or else he'll miss his wave.
Minions have spawned.
You know, as rough as mid went last game, I do have some faith in Alana to be able to show us a better performance. The stats that we saw pregame did have a pretty negative win rate on the Aurora, but I think Alana has improved a lot over the course of these games and is really comfortable on the pick at this point. And, you know, while Aurora can be a champion that can dominate lane and get a big advantage, it's also a champion that's really hard to punish in lane. Because anytime you want to look aggressively, like we saw Taxi continuously fly in aggressively onto Alana, this time around, Alana can use the W of the Aurora to, you know, kind of back off, try to avoid those plays. And you are seeing a lot of damage down early here from Kai'Sa onto the Singed.
Yeah, and Varus up 10 CS to 1 right now. Obviously, that's going to change a little bit, but the Varus does have pretty much as much early pressure as the Caitlyn does, especially into a more slow laner like Hwei to come online. But yeah, I mean... We did see Lee Sin getting spotted by the Smolder at very low HP in the jungle, but I think the window to really punish that has been missed. Now Lee Sin has all 3 abilities. I think sacrifice some health for clear speed if I remember how Lee Sin works correctly, but...
Yeah, Mason does have a little bit of a faster clear right now. I mean, by like 5 seconds, if that. But I'm curious to see, both junglers are pathing bot here, whereas last game junglers pathed in opposite directions. So we may be seeing an early 3v3 here.
Yeah, I do think that would slightly favor the Lee Sin, although the Poppy does have a lot of value into Not Lee as a combo. That trade still in NYNB's advantage, even though they did take some tower damage.
Yeah, just Wei plus Nami is just such a challenging lane to deal with. We are seeing Mason, he is spotted on that ward. They have full knowledge that he's down here. But they are also aware that Mike pathed bot, even though they don't have vision on him right now. It's like Mason's just going to cross to that other side, and both junglers are going to get 1 crap apiece. But Mike is going to be quite a bit faster here on his reset. We'll have a pretty big tempo advantage as he goes back onto the map. We'll see if he can do anything with that before Mason's able to match.
Yeah, huge hook buffer through the Nami bubble. I don't think it's going to get them much. And PB actually falling down really low, dropping below 200 HP, dropping to basically 100. If Alex is able to find this Q, that is going to kill, though, and that's first blood going over to Alex on the Varus. And Alex is back. I think a killless game for him in the first game, but this is what we expected from NYNB's bot lane.
Yeah, Alex very comfortable on the Varus pick, but I mean, we have to acknowledge the fact that heal and barrier were both available. The bot lane of BB just did not expect that damage to be enough to kill him.
Yeah, and I don't know. I feel like that's just Varus 101, so a little surprising. I feel like BB's bot lane has been better from this. Throughout the season.
If you have 3 passive stacks plus the empowered W passive of comboed with the Q, the arrow, that is an absurd amount of damage. And you saw it there. And has a pretty big advantage bot lane. And what they were not able to do last game, which was actually convert the advantage into a kill, they've already accomplished here. And critically too, Taxi still has generated ACS advantage, but it's nowhere near as much as it was in that first game. So Alana is playing this lane a lot better, and I do want to give some credit there.
Yeah, I think the counter matchup's probably just not as strong as it is into Malzahar. I think part of the advantage into Malz is you can just immediately take off the spell shield on command pretty much, especially with the splash from the Q. Obviously that wouldn't be as big of a factor at the early levels right now, but definitely part of it. And Alana's also definitely more comfortable on this Aurora pick than the Malz, so I think that makes sense. A little easier to farm on too.
Yeah, and Alana has shown the kind of desire to go for a bit of like the bruisery, kind of tankier Aurora build. All 3 games yesterday on Aurora went for that build where you get a Leandries, you get like the Rift Maker, and it makes it a lot harder to actually blow that champion up.
Could have R here. Is just going to go in and drops the damage, but Singed Flash Ghost is forced out, and that is going to prevent the kill from going down, but that's a huge summoner spell investment coming out from Singed, and I think same as last game, this first dragon is going to go over to NYNB, but this time they're up in kills. They got the first blood and it wasn't immediately traded back. Mason's up on the top side looking for something. Does not drop a ward, was just checking to see if the camps were up, but wasn't able to find anything to punish it, and now PB just shows up in the mid lane and forces Taxi out.
First back off here, should be able to buy, get a pretty good purchase in, and so far this early game, a lot better for the side of NYNB. Potentially could look for a hook here.
It is unfortunately going to miss, but Mike's now here, has flash, just immediately kicks the way back, and that arrow is not going to hit. Barrier was used though, so actually not getting too much value out of it, and now Archived is taken down. The hook goes down onto Eden, but I don't think they're going to be able to finish off the kill, but still that gank went better than the matching gank last game, so actual advantage is found for NYNB in the bot lane here. That bubble not going to be able to stop Lee Sin base.
Yeah, had PB hit that first hook, it would have been even easier, but Mike just with an insanely good kick there. Alana could be in trouble here. And you see right there, W's into the Poppy W. That's just matchup knowledge right there. You cannot use the Aurora W when Poppy has the Steadfast Presence up, gets grounded, is then unable to flash, and just a nice gank by Mason.
Yep, and now Mike's here to just pick up what's his. He's going to hit the Q. Of course he is, and that's a kill for Mike. 2-0 here.
Warfare.
And that is, Feats of Warfare going over to him, and they have the advantage for objective feats so far. The proxy has finally been set up by Singed. I think he realizes he's really going to struggle in this lane. Blake is a player who's played a fair bit of Singed, so maybe Kai'Sa's just a matchup that he's experienced before. Maybe he knows how it goes, but regardless, definitely finding an advantage in the matchup, and had purchased the early call, which I think is going to help the scaling of the Kai'Sa and come online even sooner.
Definitely. Critically, it's really good for the side of BB. But not only did they find that gank, but the kill went on to the Smolder. So you still have the scaling option here. Is playing well, has generated a CS lead, did get the early kill, but NYNB has a lot more hope here because they're not only going to have the advantage with the gold lead right now, they actually have engage tools to look for something like the Smolder. It's going to be a lot harder for Taxi to play this game out than it was last game, because even though while you still have good peel with something like a Poppy, like you had the Nautilus last game, this time around, PB can just put Nautilus ultimate on you, and it's going to be really challenging for Taxi to survive if everything they're focusing is going on to him.
Yeah, this is a pretty much uncontestable Void Grubs for NYNB. Mike 2-0 there. He's menacing. It's really hard to walk into him and fight anything, and it's super easy for him to just get out of the pit for free. So
Mason's behind Alex here though,
and Alex does have flash available, is just going to use that, gets the root on Mason under tower, but did not last very long. But yeah, I mean that's double sums forced out from Varus, but in exchange for everything you got on the top side of the map, that's not even really that bad.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they saw Mason on vision or if it was just Alex was just smart to recognize that was Mason's counter cross map play. But while you do lose both summoners, you are very happy to have not died there. And is going to be getting very close to that first item. Is going to look for that Blade of the Ruin King first item onto the Varus. That is a massive power spike once that comes through. But I mean, Taxi is farming 10 CS a minute right now on the Smolder. Is getting very close to that Essence Reaver. Will be a big threat this game.
And a lot of going forward, Lee Sin is in the area, dashes forward off the ward, and that's just flash burn from Taxi immediately.
Yeah, and that's what I like to see. You know, Alana, recognizes, okay, you've actually overstepped a little bit here and is willing to go for the punish there. Good timing with Mike. You get the Smolder flash, and now they can potentially look to punish that at some point.
And Blake just popping the ult immediately for the shield in this fight and basically ends up taking no damage as a result of it. And that was Ghost and Ultimate out from Singed in exchange for literally just Kai'Sa Flash. Or, I mean, Kai'Sa Ultimate. I don't know. I'm more of a believer in this pick than I was 11 minutes ago, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'm curious what build he's going to go for. Has the call field, so I don't know if he would go for like a first item Miramana. That's what I was thinking he might look for. It's really weak first item, but it's just going for the scaling as fast as possible. You have the Miramana stacking, you have the Cole that's almost completed, and is farming about 10 CS a minute himself, and very, very happy just to scale into this Singed.
And I mean, you also have like point and click follow up on any engage that hits Taxi. I'd imagine you're just going to build to delete Hui or Smolder if you can get an ult back onto them. But now the play is coming to collapse here. Smolder is going to be in the area, and Varus is just really pinched out of this fight. The stun does come down onto Alana, but now they're engaging onto the Smolder. Really good Poppy ultimate is going to stun him up, and Hui is going to find enough damage to make sure both of these kills go down. And that was just a bit of an over-eager dragon play. Varus was not rotated in the area, and that is going to be 2 kills back BB's way, and they're going to get a dragon. So it slows down the objective feats a little bit, and now they're dead even in kills. And gold lead has now gone over to BB.
Yeah, I think that's just a pretty big mistake to take that fight there when Alex is not able to arrive. And as you saw there, they tried to look for the burst onto the Smolder, but had the ability to peel himself over the wall, and then Mason's there as well, providing great peel. Definitely a little bit of a mistake there by NYNB. Gold is now even.
And next objective is going to be the Rift Herald in about 2 minutes. Looks like Poppy is just going to path top. Maybe they're going to look for Kai'Sa, but she's channeling a recall, and I think Mason's just going to look for an invade on the top side. Does spot Kai'Sa out with the Vision Plant, but
has gone for the Sorcerer Shoes. So, I mean, clearly Blake is, positioning himself for what I would assume that almost has to be a kind of a poke build here. Going to build magic penetration, going to look to spam the W poke. And as an answer into Smolder, I do like that.
Yeah, theoretically the game should be unpaused at some point. Looks like the unpause order did come through, but at least in what we're able to process. Okay, never mind. We are back to live here. It's a short hiccup. Seems like Archive had a quick DC.
It is going to be a Cloud Soul this game. I know movement speed, pretty massive on a lot of the champions in this game, particularly the Singed. We'll have to track, who's able to get those dragons, who's able to increase that movement speed. You're looking for a play on Taxi, but Mason's just right there behind him.
Yeah, and good call from Mike there to just burn the ward and get the hell out of there as soon as you see them trying to counterforce the play back onto you when you show up. But Alex seems to be doing a good job of holding his own in the bot lane, has even kills with Hui, but is up 20 CS, and has been basically 1v2ing this entire game. Looks like the lead is passively just going back over to NYNB with how their lanes are going, but it'll be a question of if that is able to be maintained over the course of the game as Hui and Smolder continue to scale up. And I think this Rift Herald fight could be a little telling. Kai'Sa's level 11 already, so is Singed, and both the mid laners actually. So level 2 ultimates are going to be available for the Rift Herald fight.
Yeah, and Smolder's flash is still down for a little while longer. Won't have it right as this Rift Herald play starts, but if they're able to delay it at all, that will come back up. You know, you have they may look for a play on Singed here, but I don't think Singed is ever killable here when he has both the Flash and the Ghost up.
Yeah, not to mention the ultimate. I think that's definitely a big factor too. And 3 people are already on the Rift Herald. Kai'Sa's rotating down. Singed actually looking for it back. They're able to find damage onto the Poppy. That's so much immediately. And the Plasma stacks are going to do enough damage to immediately kill. Except now it's just the 2 ADCs all on their own. And I think Alex is just going to be caught here. And PB and Mike are a little too far away to really help here. But they're able to find the kill onto Nishan almost immediately. But PB is going to fall. Kai'Sa needs to just flash out. But Mike is just going to hold it until his W reaches. And I don't think you're able to contest a Rift Herald here, especially with the opportunity for a Lee Sin steal. And I think the kills onto the bot lane of NYNB are a little more important than the kills onto the top side of BB in that skirmish, but still pretty much even.
Smolder, again, just picks up another kill. Mason, with his dying breath there, really saved that play for them, knocking away both Mike and PB, left both the 80 carries very exposed. I'm a little surprised that Alex held both his flash and his barrier there. I feel like he could potentially have dragged that play out just long enough to where when they re-arrive, it could have looked better for them, but chose to hold it there, does get taken down. Critically, Blake was able to survive by using his own flash, but I mean, we're sitting in a very even game right now, and no team was able to actually collect the Rift Herald. We may see another fight for it, but Drag's also coming up. The teams may elect to just trade objectives.
Yeah, doing so would give objective feats over to NYNB, which would give them the boot upgrade. So that is a sacrifice that they need to make, but this is just getting started up. Mike is actually nowhere in the area, and I think you just have to concede the Rift Herald here. That's 4 people from BB just on it, and they do not make the same mistake they did last game where they just try and flip a fight after the end of it.
Yep. And I mean, I think that's fine. Like, you want this Kai'Sa pick to get strong. Like, you want the Miramana to complete. You want what I assume to be like a Luden's Tempest to come through here. Get that poke online and then see what the fights look like.
And they're able to just grab first turret, so it really is just going to come down to this dragon. Whoever gets that is going to get the boot upgrade. Kai'Sa does not have teleport available, which I think is going to be pretty impactful. She's one of the strongest characters on the map, if not the strongest, actually only behind Smolder and Gold. So maybe you get a solo kill onto the Singed here, which makes it okay that you're not there for the dragon, but it's going to be so hard to fight this, and I think it would be a pretty bad call for NYNB to force this. But that does mean giving up the feats. But that's a huge pick onto Taxi to start off the fight. He gets rooted, and the damage does come through. He has to flash away, but Alana hitting to the backside almost finds the kill onto Taxi and is actually able to pick it up. That's a kill going down to Alana, and Mason falling down pretty low. Alex, super low. Flash coming out from Mason is going to be enough to secure the kill onto Alex, and they're going to find a triple kill onto Poppy. Blake is going to find the kill top with the ultimate, but that is going to be feats of strength going over to BB, and a triple kill for Poppy in exchange for 2 kills for the side of NYNB. And it looked like NYNB had it all tied up, but they've really just completely lost all the feats there off of the one bad Rift Herald fight. And I know feats aren't the biggest deal, but I think they are a pretty decent indicator of how the early game goes, and the scaling options for Smolder and Hui are very powerful there.
Yeah, I thought that looked really good. Like, as you called out, they found the initial engage on the Smolder, and Alana actually did a very nice job on that flank play of finishing the Smolder off. But Mason's just, like, so difficult for them to take down, was doing a ton of damage, on top of, Eden being there, applying the CC, applying the heals onto Mason, and as good as Mike has been playing, it's just hard to execute in team fights when you have like this tank Poppy.
Yeah, you just need Kai'Sa there to have any chance of killing the Poppy, and as soon as the Kai'Sa does not have TP to make the rotation, it is so hard to fight the dragon. I don't know how much better it feels if you just completely give over the dragon and don't get anything off the back of it. This way you at least get a kill onto Smolder to try and put him a little behind, but getting 3 over is definitely not what you want. Smolder at 205 stacks, probably going to hit 225 at about the same benchmark that he did last game, around the 20-minute mark. And that just is bad news for NYNB. This game definitely looking a lot better than the last one, though.
Yeah, Kaisa does almost have the completed Man Immune, has the completed Luden's item. So damage is coming online there, but yeah, it's just so
Alana
unfortunate.
in big trouble here is probably going to need to flash to survive. Having to flash the Nami bubble is not optimal. You definitely want to save it for the Poppy, but almost finds the kill onto Hui. It's not going to be enough, and Hui is going to get the kill onto Alana. Nautilus here just a little bit too late to make a difference. Really good play from Aurora, just not enough to stop it. But now Alex has found Poppy, and the auto is going to be enough to snare it up. And the Kaisa W absolutely just destroying Mason's health bar. And the Nautilus ult is going to come through, but not enough to find the finish. Threading the needle with these Ws.
The Kaisa poke is crazy. Has the ultimate if ever wants to go in to try to finish someone off, but doesn't want to pull that trigger.
And it's all so close. There's so much healing and support coming out from Nami, but despite not getting the kills, you've now poked them all low enough that they cannot contest Otacon. And I think Otacon is a bigger deal than feats of strength, so you're kind of happy. You're down a couple kills, but I think this is going to be super impactful. But now Smolder's in the fight, is looking to maybe make something happen. Aurora is here, but maybe Taxi's stepping up too far here. Kaisa ult's still available, but Singe now just running at him, and I think they're going to try and walk this out. Blake is trying to save this tower, does have to burn ult and flash in order to live. And Singe, I think, is just going to die for this, but maybe Taxi's able to find something on the backside of it. But no, they overextend. 2 of them going down under tower, but that's actually 2 bleeding from Singe poison, and now that's 2 for 2. But the tower is staying alive, but only for a little bit, because Hui's just going to be able to walk up and take it.
The Singe poison collecting 2 there at the end makes that okay, but I really thought they overplayed their hand there, trying to chase under the turret. But yeah, but ultimately, though, at the end of the day, the Otacon is the prize there. I thought they did a really nice job of just kind of poking them down with the Kaisa, made them have to back off the objective, and then just take it so quickly before Mason can get back. The kills by Nishan do help a little bit there. Helps him out a lot personally. He's on 2 items now, is very scary on this Singed, has the Swifties, has the feats of the upgraded Swifties with the feats, can then look to even buy the actual upgraded version, and will be a menace in these fights. That was kind of a little preview of what you can expect with the Singed. But in that same way, that was a preview of what you can expect with this Kaisa damage. Does now have the alternator, and is probably going to look for a Shadow Flame third, I would think. And at that point, the burst damage is very, very online. So still anybody's game here.
Yeah, and this next dragon fight is going to be impactful. I think we just need to watch these Kaisa Ws. One hits onto Nami and already takes away like 500 health. Is going to put the alternator on cooldown.
Smolder has the execute stacks, and this is
huge buffer from PB, but it's not going to be enough to save him. I think he flashes over the wall, and that keeps him alive for a little longer, but now Alex has to flash out. The ultimate is going to come down and snare the Smolder, but that's just like not enough to help them. That's 2 crucial ultimates had to kick him away too, in exchange for Smolder and Singed ult, but you've lost a member, and BB has a pretty dominating position over this dragon, and they're looking for Soul Point. That is half of Nami's health with a single ability. They do not know Nishan's there. They're going to find him. The flip comes down, gets the root into the toxic ground, but now Nami ult forced out the other way. You're not going to get dragon back. So much damage coming down from Kaisa, but it's just not enough. They took the dragon too fast, but that's a kill. Shut down onto the Nami. Blake able to find the angle there, and he just keeps firing, but finally he's going to miss one, so the cooldown is not present. And the map is just spread out a little bit. Singe going for the recall, but they're just pushing for mid tower here.
And I mean, you see exactly the power of this Kaisa pick at this point, but man, it's hard to play out right now with the other members.
Yeah, they just need to position a little better, make sure they don't get caught. Both PB and Alex just stepping up way too far in that play. If they were able to play farther back, more Kaisa abilities get to hit. That time the W is just going to whiff, though. And PB, again, just getting caught there. You need to play super slow with a poke comp like this. And now Alana's caught as well. Damage going down onto Taxi, but it does not hit like it would onto Hui or Nami.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, they're just getting caught at this point, and it's not allowing, Blake's Kaisa pick to actually set up. I think if they're actually just grouped and poking and not allowing them to, find these initial picks, it would look a lot better, but I don't know. BB's continuing to play well here.
Yeah, Nash is going to be up, and everyone from NYNB up is going to be up to contest it. But we'll have to see if it's going to be enough. I mean, Aurora and Varus started off the game pretty well, honestly, but now they're both 1 and 4. 4 kills on the Kai'Sa and the Lee Sin, very strong members of their team, but Taxi able to just get an uncontested turret and has had the execution threshold for a while at this point. Kai'Sa's going to show up and just trying to get some poke down once they can start setting up for the Nash, but they're going to need to look for a steal or kind of bait BB into starting it, but I'm just not sure they're going to do it.
Yeah. It's just difficult. You need to like find some poke so that you can start a fight at a good advantage. But then on top of that, you still then have to find a really good engage on a Smolder. I mean, 3 items now. Not to mention the Hui just does so much damage if you don't take him out. But you can't focus Hui because then Smolder kills you. It's a really difficult, backline carries here with Smolder and Hui to actually approach a fight, even when you can, land Kai'Sa poke.
Yeah, I mean, I think you really just need Kai'Sa to kill a couple people before you take the fight, which is pretty easy. It just takes a long time, but they've already started up the Nash. Alana is TPing in here, and that is 2 connections onto Archived. The barrier actually was not used. That shield was from something else. The hook coming down towards Mason, not going to be enough. Mason does just completely eat the Kai'Sa W there, kick away onto the Singed, and PB is going to fall down here first. They're not going to have enough damage to kill Nishan, and I'm not sure when the Kai'Sa W is back up. Oh, she's top lane. Okay, is hitting Taxi. I'm just keeping it on Kai'Sa so we can see the cooldown. Almost kills Taxi there. Has the ultimate, is just going to go in. Drops the W, not going to be enough. That ult is just going to miss, though, and I think that completely stops the Nash.
Yeah, that does stop the Nash. Really big by Blake. I mean, Blake is performing right now on this pick. You saw why he picked it. You saw the counter. The poke is there, but it's just, I don't know. The fights just still look so rough. Like, they're not... BB did a good job of not allowing him to just consistently poke. But frankly, PB walked up. PB tried to find the hook to start. You just got to play it a little bit slower.
Yeah, and I mean, as I was saying in the first game, it is really hard to play poke comps right, and that's because if you have any engaged champion on your team, the natural instinct of the person on that champion is going to be to start engages and look for proactive plays, and you just kind of can't. So it completely changes the way you need to play the game, and it is just not natural for pretty much anyone who plays the game to play that style, except for the person on the poke champion most of the time. But yeah, I mean, we'll see if they're able to get their stuff together and play it out the right way.
Yeah, Kai'Sa does now have some more magic penetration. He's going for that next item. Is doing a ton of damage. Definitely still playable, but see if they can
able to find a root
pick.
down with Varus R onto Poppy, but that's their, as much damage as they could get down in a couple seconds, and it's basically nothing. So,
so tanky here. Has the Warmogs as well. It's just going to heal back up to full. The Warmogs is a really intelligent purchase here when you're playing against the poke composition, because any poke won't actually stick.
Well, it'll stick on Taxi until
it will stick on tag.
Eden's able to heal up half of it.
The Nami.
Poppy's got the flank here though, and is going to be able to pin Blake into the wall, who immediately gets stunned, has to ult out, gets knocked up by Poppy, and I think is just going to fall down here. Smolder looking for the execution. Actually, they're able to shut down Poppy. PB is going to be the sacrifice here, but that's a 1-for-1. And Jungler is
playing out of his
dead.
Mind. Like, I know they.
Oh, Singed flashing in,
there.
looking for something, actually is not able to find anything. So.
Okay.
Oh well. They should be able to get Dragon here.
Dragon Soul. But Mason's playing so well. Like, that flank is insane. He gets a 3-man knockup.
Wait, Alana engaging
so
onto Archive, gets a lot of damage
everyone.
down, is maybe looking for the reversal. Gets Archive so low is not going to be enough. But I think that actually does stop the Dragon, because Kai'Sa has TP available. If they're going to just start hitting it, it's so risky because Poppy isn't alive. They're trying to just burn it down, and it's going to be a bit of a race to get there. And Blake shooting this off gets half of the damage down onto the Nami again, and Taxi's kind of caught in the pit. If they don't realize, though, Taxi's just going to get it uncontested. But now Mike should just be able to go in and get the smite. It went to Kai'Sa. Mike did not press the smite key, but it doesn't matter. You get the drag, so you've bought yourself another 5 minutes at least. Insane game.
Yeah.
This is what I was hoping for. I wanted 3 games of this from NYNB. I think Rengar Ivern is a noted exception. I'm okay with a bit of a stomp if we get to see that, but this is what these 2 teams can offer, and it is an absolutely unhinged top lane pick plus just versus good drafting and consistency.
Yeah, and I think, what I want to shout out is I think the Nami Hui is just such an intelligent, pick for the bot lane of BB. Where is NYNB's biggest strength? Like, yes, Blake is a consistent, good performer, but NYNB's bot lane has won most games they've played, and you just cannot beat Hui and Nami beyond a certain extent. Like, they've been winning the early lane, they found a first blood this game, 2v2, but at a certain point, you just cannot punish Hui Nami enough to, like, make that your sole win condition. And, I think, subbing Archived in, who can play this pick, it's really smart. And I think that's why, whereas typically if Blake is stomping this hard, you'd think, okay, this game's almost just over and NYNB's just going to win. It's still so close because you're not getting that same bot lane value out of NYNB that you have consistently this season.
Yeah, Mason looking for another flank here. Could end up going into 3 of them. Is spotted out by Blake. The poke just not hitting the target you want to. If it hits Mason, it basically does nothing besides give you your cooldown back. And the position being taken by BB here is very aggressive. Aurora is just going to base, doesn't want to have to expend the TP. I'm just lying, by the way. That W did enough to justify it. But, I don't know. They're able to just get the top turret, which is worth a lot of gold. And now a lot of damage coming down onto Mason. But Hook comes through onto Taxi, has to flash. Nautos ult coming through as well. And that's so much damage onto Taxi. Completely threaded the needle there. Took half of his health away. But Kai'Sa does miss a W, which completely ruins their damage for the next 10 seconds. And narrowly able to get the back off there for Nishan. But this is how they need to play it. Just poke them out enough that they need to take off the objective. And then force some resets and maybe find a pick. It's not a fun way to play. It's not a quick way to play. But their results have been a lot better once they've committed to this playstyle. But now we're just seeing a basically full reset across the entire map. BB had already gotten theirs in, and now they're getting stuff done on the map. But now we are going to see Nautilus and Singe kind of glide by, ships passing in the night. And Mason is going to walk forward looking for a play, but is on vision here. They do know that Mason is walking up this way. But it's just so hard. Neither team can really start the Nash.
Yeah. And, one thing that could maybe help is Alex is on a 3rd item now. Can potentially maybe start shredding the front line, helping this Kai'Sa out in that regard. But it's really challenging right now with how well Mason, in my opinion, is playing his role as front line on top of, Eden and Hui being very, very hard to actually ever reach.
And Mason just stealing away these jungle camps, looking to find an advantage that way. And Blake is going to start firing with the Ws, but just not able to find connections yet. Alana is rotating to get back up with them, and Soul is available in 1:20, so they're hoping to find some poke before then, but Blake has missed the last few Ws. And now I think Alana is being forced back into lane, not actually caught there, which is good for NYNB, and very unfortunate for BB. That pick alone would probably secure them the dragon and the soul. Lana should be able to get out there. It actually does get caught by the Poppy E, and that is the pick. So we'll see if I'm right. They're able to get soul off that, but doing so might force them to trade the Nash. They at least get this side lane turret, which again is worth so much money.
Maybe going a little deep here, but no, he's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they've learned their lesson. Committing the Varus ult there does basically nothing. With the enhanced Merc treads, you're just not going to get enough damage off.
But even Taxi now, with this 4th item, has stacked quite a bit of health.
And Blake walked up way too far here. He's just going to press the E. Does not actually get stunned, but is going to have to use the ultimate, which gives him 1,000 health shield. Alex looking for a kill is not going to find enough damage, and now that is the flip onto Blake, and Nishan running at Mach 10 here, just creating total mayhem. Might go down, but has stalled out enough that it's worth it, and now they just get soul off that. Blake just walking up too far in the mid lane. All 5 members were there ready to catch him, and that's going to be it for Soul.
Yeah, it's going to be Cloud Soul, which if you thought Singed was moving fast, just wait.
And this should just be Nash. It's going to be so hard for them to contest. Kaisa being as high level as she is means the respawn timer takes forever. You could get a TP right off spawn, and I still don't think you're in there quickly enough to contest this. So Nash going over, and now the gold lead's kind of expanded to about 8K. And it is looking like BB is probably going to be securing that first place spot this season.
Yeah. And I mean, just to speak about that a little bit, like what a great accomplishment for this team if they are able to close it out here. I mean, definitely I don't think this team was like rated super lowly, but I don't think very many people had them, competing for that spot. And I mean, it's only dropped one series so far, which was to Metabusters in a close 2-1 series. I mean, this team's just been performing so good.
Yeah, and that was towards the beginning of the season where they hadn't really found their identity yet. This team's improved a lot over the course of it, I think. The general calm around them is like the McDonald's team. Like a lot of these players like don't necessarily play that much together, don't have good synergy. Like who knows how it's going to turn out. Whereas a lot of the other teams were formed more in advance and had a lot more time to build. But you can see the practice and dedication they've put into the game really paying off here, especially around the draft. I know the meme where Taxi gets benched for talking too much about draft, but he refuses to admit that that's real, but clearly his draft knowledge is helping him out a lot in this series.
Mason's happy to sit there and talk about it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, now the engage comes out. They're going to find so much damage onto every member of NYNB, and that's going to be game. They pick off both ADCs and just get completely wiped under their own towers. And that is the problem with poke comps. Once you get collapsed on, you're just dead, and that is going to be the series for BB.
Yeah, and to me, frankly, I think this series comes down to really, really good draft prep by BB into just really great execution on the games. Like, draft prep is one thing. You still have to show up and execute. But when you play at this high of a level and you have the draft advantage, it's just not much NYNB could do here. You saw flashes. The Kaisa looked great this game. I thought Mike actually played a pretty good early game. You saw kind of some moments with the Ivern last game, but just as a whole, BB just showed up and was much better on the day.
Yeah, and I think just the way we'll do Taxi MVP first game. I think Mason gets MVP this game. The Poppy plays and the amount of just being able to stall out some of these fights.
It has to be Mason this game, in my opinion. Yeah. I think he played the Poppy immaculately.
Yep. I do want to pull Taxi for the MVP interview because, oh my God, we have to. This matchup has been boiling for the longest amount of time ever. But I do want to keep it quick. My voice is fading and I do have somewhere to be, but got to give him the chance here. Hello, Taxi. Congratulations. I think you have been thinking about this series for the last like 2.5 years or however long it's been. You finally got your get back, and your KDA across the series is absolutely disgusting. I think you didn't die at all in the first game, if I'm correct, and then you go 11-3-11 in the second one. Just slam smolder, carry, refuse to elaborate. How are you feeling right now, especially now that your team's locked first this season?
Oh wait, we're like confirmed locked first?
Yes. Worst thing you can do is tie with QC, which you win, I think.
Oh, let's go. I
think there still could be a 3-way tie, 5-2, 5-2, 5-2. So that might come down to who knows, but
yeah,
I think I baited myself a little bit. I just looked at the one tie. I didn't look at how many people were in it, but
yeah. I mean, honestly, game like I don't know what to say. I'm like I think we owned them in the marketplace of ideas. Our draft prep was so just way too good, I think. Because I was talking to Guru before, right before, and I told him exactly what we were gonna do. And game one draft, I'm not gonna lie, the aura of Ivern Rengar, that shit was aura. That kind of took us off guard. But it didn't really matter because we went Jace with first item Serpent's Fang. And he negated 10,000 shielding or something. It was so ridiculous. And yeah, we just played the game. And then game two was, we just played the game. I mid-series I was talking to my team. We were like, when did we become Gen G? Just pick scaling, give first two objectives, and then just out team fight everybody. How did that happen? I feel like that was not our identity, but it became our identity. So this series at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
thought
mean,
you
I
guys
think
played really, really
you
well.
guys can't really be Gen G because you guys actually know how to draft. So, well,
True,
sorry,
I guess.
had to sneak that one in there. It's my fucking pain point for the last quarter century. But no, I mean, y'all played a great series. I think there were some glimmers of hope there for NYNB in the second game. I was definitely hoping for some closer games like that. I was hoping for 3 of them, but you were able to get it done pretty quickly, which I think actually does give you a pretty good advantage in the tiebreaker, considering, you know, actually no, you would be guaranteed first for sure because you'd win the tiebreaker because you've beaten both the other teams. So yeah,
Teams,
sorry,
yeah.
had to think it through, but yeah, I mean the 2-0 is just nice anyway. So
We
y'all are going to
finally
get
broke
side
our.
select for
We
the rest
broke
of
the
the
curse.
season. So
We won a game 2. Never heard from. I think we have not won a single game 2 at this point. We've lost every game 2.
that's really
I
funny.
think that's the first time our team has not went to 3 games. And
No,
if
you won.
yeah.
You won game 2 versus Metabusters, I think, because you lost the first game versus Metabusters. I
No,
believe.
we absolutely
Yeah, they
cheesed them the
phrased it,
first
yeah, they
game.
did.
That was the game
okay.
1 was the base. That was the first ever 3-0. They 3-0'd us. Like we literally
Okay.
like should not have won game 1, and then we lost games 2 and 3.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Okay, never mind. I'm the clown.
Yeah. So we actually have lost every game 2, but we have now broken that curse.
Well, as you look towards playoffs in first place, how are you feeling? I mean, is BB going to win the season?
I mean, I think we have a very real shot. Especially, we have been scaling since like week 1, and I don't see why not. Like, literally, why not us? Like, why shouldn't we win the entire season? Like, we've already beat almost everybody. We lost to Metabusters, and we beat a fraudulent QC or whatever. But like, we'll have to see. We'll just have to see in playoffs. But my opinion is, why not? Why shouldn't we win the entire season?
Yeah, I mean the only teams left for you guys to beat are, I mean, you could make the QC main roster argument, and then it's Metabusters and Rift Sharks, who I will point out are actually the 2 teams who were in finals of the previous season, and a lot of the roster has remained the same there. But we will have to see.
Yeah,
if
this season Rift Sharks is equal to last season Capachungus Deluxe for sure.
True.
I mean, you could make the argument that season 8
True.
Metabusters is equal to season 9 Metabusters at the same point in the season, and they absolutely turned up in playoffs. But yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. I'm just saying, I think the championship DNA is still there, regardless of whether it's presenting or not. I mean, I'm not going to lie and say we've looked good at all this season, but you know, we'll see.
So
you
Dean,
get to play us.
is BB
next
frauds?
week.
Is BB finally off fraud watch?
I don't care what
would
Dean
say
says.
probably.
BB is certainly
I mean,
off
to be
fraud
fair,
watch.
there was a question mark on it the first time. It was not a period statement, but I don't know. I do have a history of shit talking teams just for them to boss up in the podcast. That's kind of my thing that I do, and it's basically every time it's the team that Will's on. You guys didn't run him, so I don't get my annual tradition of getting to see him pop off after I claim his team. But
Archive popped off though. Archive played so well.
No, he did.
Respect to Archive.
Yeah. The Hoi pick is a little nasty, but
It
anyway,
dude, the flex,
one more
it's
season,
nasty.
one more series left for BB this season. So all 3 of us will actually be in it. So tune in for
you
that.
want my prediction?
We know your prediction, Taxi.
2-0. Not even a 2-1. We're not dropping game 2. 2-0. Y'all better bring your A game.
Yeah. But the other series are pending to be scheduled, so we will announce them once they are. But that is it for tonight. So thank you to everybody who watched, and GG's to both teams.
GG's. It was a fun game. I love playing against New York Nutbusters. Those are my boys. GG's to all of them. I'm glad that the remake happened so that we got to play a real game.
Yep, agreed. Guru, anything else?
No, thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Dean, for running the cast, and everybody tune in for the next match whenever that is.
All right. Yep. Peace.